Welcome to Sell Yourself, a podcast about building the personal brand that builds your career. Identity matters across all disciplines, and today's episode highlights that by shining light on a professional field one doesn't typically associate with traditional branding. Today I am joined by Bryce Tiemann, a 3 at LSU's Paul M. Hebert Law Center, to talk about how future attorneys can create a strong professional identity. The legal field is competitive, credibility driven, and deeply personal, just like branding. Choose, Choosing Bryce reflects how law students and attorneys face the same challenges brands do: standing out, communicating value, and showing authenticity early.
Thanks, Ethan, for having me today. This topic is unique, but it's incredibly important, and I wish more business owners, students, and professionals were introduced to the concept and the ideas that flow from it sooner.
When you think about identity as a law student or future attorney, what does that mean to you? And how early in law school did you realize you needed to differentiate yourself?
Yeah, I think they start almost immediately. I mean, it was pretty apparent from day one that from a professional standpoint, everyone you're around has always been academically driven. And so they're all going to be successful, intelligent people. And whenever that is your colleagues and your competition in the marketplace, you have to figure out what it is that you're going to do that sets yourself apart. So I've came up with a few things, and the competitiveness of the legal field is just perplexing, I think, to somebody that's non-involved. But I think it's also something built in to an adversarial profession. So law is always going to be competitive. Everyone is intelligent. They've made it that far for a reason, and so standing out is something you've got to learn very quickly. And I think they do a good job of that, as far as preparing you for that from the start. Another big thing is professional reputation. There's a lot of reliance on credibility in the profession, and so setting that standard for yourself from the beginning is incredibly important. Another, all lawyers can practice any sort of law. There's a few exceptions. So you need to focus on something. What is your brand? Are you a criminal defense attorney? And specifically, what kind of criminal defense attorney? Or, and relate that to your interests. Another thing that I think kind of gets lost amongst all professions is you've got to not lose your authenticity and the reason for why you became a lawyer in the first place. So I think that speaks across all professions.
So there's definitely some parallels between practical requirements for successful career in the legal field and traditional branding. A couple of those are consistency in visuals for brands, in behavior and communication for attorneys. Voice and tone, brands craft messaging, attorneys craft professional voice. Audience, brands choose target markets, attorneys choose practice areas and clients. Trust, both require clarity, professionalism, and reliability. Bryce, have you had to brand yourself through internships, writing samples, clerkships, or networking? And if so, what parts of your background, such as living in New Orleans, going through your undergrad and its focus, and some of your interests, play into your professional identity?
I would say a lot of us, just depending on their experience first semester, they're either working against the grain of their grades because, like I said, there's this immediate branding of you as an attorney dependent on what your grades your first semester of law school were. And so you're either working against the grain of your grades, or you're importing that as a benefit and selling yourself because of the grades. Now, I will say that grades definitely do not make or break whether you're going to be a good attorney. Um, but one of the things that I focus a lot on in terms of just standing out is having a strong voice and retaining a professional tone, even in those adversarial moments. I've always been a strong writer. I would say that's my um, probably greatest professional asset. Um, and so while my legal briefs are boring and filled with traditional, case sites and legal jargon, I am sure to keep my voice present. I have to remember I'm not only, citing the cases and supporting my position, but I'm telling a story. And that seems to engage colleagues and judges alike. And it's not as boring as reading legalese all day.
Bryce, you and I drafted 4 to 5 principles of creating an identity prior to the show, and I'm going to share that with the listeners now. 1. Define who you want to be known as. This is something such as your niche or your specialization. 2. Create consistent messaging, such as resume, LinkedIn, your interviews, or writing samples. 3. Tell a story that is true. Always remember, authenticity is better than perfection. 4. Know your audience. For Bryce being a lawyer, his audience would be firms, clients, and judges, such as brands would be for the market and consumers. 5. Stay adaptable. Identity always evolves. Identity isn't something you stumble into, it's something you build. We hope today's episode was able to help you convey that message and help you make the not so obvious connections when creating a brand identity and just how important it is. I want to thank Bryce for joining us and look forward to possibly having you back on the show for more interesting comparisons.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.
And to all the listeners, remember, subscribe, follow on social media, and keep building the brand that builds your future.